At first, Rome was just one small city-state in an area of Latin-speaking people on the west side of Italy's peninsula. Rome, as a monarchy, couldn't even keep foreign powers from ruling it. It started gaining strength from about 510 BC, when the Romans threw out their last king, until the middle of the 3rd century BC. During this, the early Republican period, Rome made and broke strategic treaties with neighboring groups in order to help her conquer other city-states. In the end, after revising her battle tactics, weapons, and legions, Rome emerged as the undisputed leader of Italy. In the legendary beginning of its history, Rome was ruled by 7 kings. The first was Romulus, whose ancestry is traced to Trojan War Prince Aeneas. The next king was a Sabine. The third king was a Roman. The fourth king was Numa's grandson. After him came the 3 Etruscan kings, Tarquinius Priscus, Servius Tullius, Tarquin's son, the last king of Rome, known as Tarquinius Superbus, or Tarquin the Proud. The Romans expelled their Etruscan king and his relatives peacefully, but soon thereafter they had to fight to keep them out. By the time the Romans had defeated the Etruscan Porcina and Aricia, even the threat of Etruscan rule of the Romans had reached its end. Then the Latin city-states, but excluding Rome, banded together in an alliance against Rome. While they battled each other, the Latin allies suffered attacks from the mountain tribes. These tribes lived east of the Apennines, a long mountain range that separates Italy into an eastern and western side. The mountain tribes are presumed to have been attacking because they needed more arable land. The Latins had no extra land to give the mountain tribes, so in about 493 BC, the Latins, this time including Rome, signed a mutual defense treaty that is called Foedus Cassianum, which is Latin for Cassian Treaty. A few years later, in about 486 BC, the Romans made a treaty with one of the mountain peoples, the Hernici, who lived between the Volsci and the Aquae, which were other eastern mountain tribes. Bound to Rome by separate treaties, the League of Latin City-States, the Hernici, and Rome defeated the Volsci. Rome then settled Latins and Romans as farmer landowners in the territory. In 405 BC, the Romans had been an unprovoked 10-year struggle to annex the Etruscan city of Veii, much of southern Spain and the islands of Corsica, Sardinia, and part of Sicily. Contact prior to Roman control of Italy was limited, but with Rome now within striking distance of Sicily, conflict was inevitable. When the Sicilian city of Messana revolted against Carthaginian rule in 264 BC, the Romans once again jumped at the opportunity to expand under the guise of aiding another city. This initial Roman invasion of Sicily touched off a series of 3 wars that would last over 100 years. Some of the greatest battles and commanders in world history were on center stage in the conflicts. Men such as Hannibal and Scipio Africanus were immortalized through the legendary achievement, and by the end, the ingenuity and technology brought on by warfare advanced Rome to incredible power. Carthage would end up a blip on the radar of history, with Rome became the power of the Western world through its victories. Conflict with Carthage, however, was not the only source of strife for the growing Roman Republic. In some cases, Rome's expansion beyond Carthaginian territory grew as a direct correlation to the Punic Wars. Illyricum and Adriatic, Macedonia and Greece would all become the target of Roman domination and political whims. The years 264 to 146 would transform Rome from a young republic to a powerful empire. Toward the south to Campania, where Pompeii, Mount Vesuvius, and Naples were located, and the Samnites. Although it took until the beginning of the 3rd century, Rome did defeat the Samnites and annex the rest of central Italy. Finally, Rome looked to Magna Graecia in southern Italy and fought King Pyrrhus of Epirus. While Pyrrhus won 2 battles, both sides fared badly. Rome had an almost inexhaustible supply of manpower, and Pyrrhus pretty much only had the men he had brought with him from Epirus, so the Pyrrhic victory turned out to be worse for the victor than the defeated. When Pyrrhus lost his 3rd battle against Rome, he left Italy, leaving southern Italy to Rome. Rome was then recognized as supreme and entered into international treaties. In the 3rd and 2nd centuries BC, Rome, after consolidating its hold on the Italian peninsula, would soon come up against the powers of the Mediterranean, Carthage. Carthage was a Phoenician city founded in 814 BC, and the term Punic relates to the Latin and Greek words for Phoenician. From the founding of the Republic, the powerful Carthaginians had supported Rome in its bid to secure its own independence and strength in Italy. As late as 279 BC, the two states were allied against Pyrrhus of Epirus in order to contain his expansionist goals. But as Rome's strength grew as a result, so did the rivalry and animosity between the two. Carthage was, in this time period, by far the greatest sea power on the Mediterranean. Naval authority and vast merchant routes brought wealth and power to the North African city. By the time Rome gained control of the city, Carthage held sway over North Africa from Libya to Gibraltar. After the great city of Carthage fell, Rome was on the fast track to major expansion. After it destroyed Carthage and its empire, it expanded way across northern Africa, all the way to Asia Minor, and all the way north to England and northern Europe. After they had expanded, they had decided they wanted to settle and maintain control of the lands they currently owned. So they built a wall, Hadrian's Wall. But Hadrian's Wall was more than a simple defense system. It showed Roman expansion and Roman might. It showed the British tribes that they are a force not to be trifled with. The wall gave the Romans a way to stop northern British tribes from entering the Roman Empire. The wall's main purpose was to keep the northern tribes out of the Roman Empire, but at the same time it helped regulate who came through the wall and who left the wall. The wall was manned the 2nd, 6th, and 20th Roman legions, totaling about 15,000 troops, meaning that it would prove very difficult to breach without mass amounts of bloodshed. Hadrian stated that the wall was meant as a defensive offense. The wall's construction began in 122 AD at the time of Hadrian's visit to the British Isles. The construction was finished in 6 years in 128 AD. The wall was in total use until the fall of the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. After the fall of the Roman Empire, the wall was taken apart to build houses and buildings in the region. The wall was built from limestone from the local quarries and from packed turf in some areas. The wall stretched from the Solway Firth to the North Sea. The wall lies across the entire British Isle, which is about 73 miles coast to coast. After the time of the barbaric British tribes, the wall was used by farmers to build their farms by a man named John Clayton, a lawyer, began buying plots of land with Hadrian's Wall in order to preserve it from the local farmers. John Clayton fell in love with the wall after a trip to Chester. John Clayton is accredited with saving the wall from complete destruction. In 1987, Hadrian's Wall was deemed a World Heritage Site and was open to tourism. Although the wall is unguarded to this day, but walking and climbing are greatly discouraged. The wall's structural integrity varies along the wall, with some parts still completely intact, and in other parts non-existent. After 2 millennia, the Hadrian's Wall gives an extraordinary view of the Roman Empire at its great peak. Hadrian's Wall represented power and might to the northern tribes of Britain. The wall symbolized that the Rome could do anything it wanted, whenever they wanted to.